Hello everyone, NoahNovels here, and welcome back to my Revue Starlight episode discussion and analysis videos. Today we will be going over episode 3 of the anime, titled Top Star. After this video, we'll be a fourth of the way done with this video series. Except there's still the recap and sequel movie, so not really, but it's a sad thought nevertheless. With that being said, let's hop into the discussion of the episode. Before the opening plays, we get a cool scene of the previous performance of Starlight by all of our favorite characters in the 99th class. Since it was established in episode 1 that they will be performing Starlight every year during their stay at Saisho to improve themselves and their performances, I think getting a glimpse at what the last performance of it looked like is neat. This way we can see what kind of show they put on last time and appreciate further any changes or improvements they make for their next performance down the line. The opening plays, and the first thing we see afterwards is Nana offering up a new banana-themed snack to Hikari, which is proof that Nana is a saint, can do no wrong, and for the love of all that's good and holy, Hikari, if you refuse the snack this time. We see some more characters arrive to class. Mihiru has an internal mental breakdown over Karen and Juna's newfound friendship, and class begins with Claudine noticeably absent. During class, it's announced that Nana will be behind the scenes for this new production of Starlight, focusing more on script writing and stage production rather than performing on the stage itself. During lunch, some of the other girls in the class, including Karen, ask Nana about her newfound interest in what goes on behind the stage. Most of them at this meetup are either disappointed or indifferent, but Maya voices her support and confidence in Nana's ability to put on a good production of Starlight. Karuko and Futaba engage in some mild bribery, since Nana will now be playing a role in deciding who gets cast as who in Starlight, and while Mihiru is simping a little hard for Karen, Claudine makes her entrance. Claudine says she simply overslept and that's why she's late, though the credibility of that statement is iffy at best, as there is some very noticeable and awkward tension between her and Maya when they look at one another, which is something only Futaba seems to notice. After this, we're treated to another brief montage with some good character building. For the first part, we see a scene of the class practicing singing with a really fun shot of Karen, Hikari, and Mihiru. Karen is glancing over at Hikari and smiling as she sings, simply happy to have her childhood friend back in her life and being able to practice and perform together. Mihiru on the other side of Hikari, however, is glancing not so happily at Hikari, and after observing Hikari singing for a few moments, Mihiru noticeably pushes herself in her singing. She probably goes a little too far though, as we see her physically struggle. Hikari, on the other hand, pays no heed to the glances coming from her left and right and faces straight ahead as she practices singing. This shot is a great way of reinforcing the dynamic between Karen and Hikari that's been built up these past 2 episodes. One consisting of Karen's excitement and enthusiasm of being reunited with Hikari, contrasted to Hikari's cold and indifferent attitude towards Karen when they're together. This shot also helps set up the future conflict between Mihiru and Hikari in episode 5, Mihiru being jealous of Hikari and feeling threatened by how important she is to Karen. More about that in the episode 5 video though. I just wanted to bring attention to some more good montage character building. We see more singing practice from some of the other girls. Then in the actor training department, we see them listening to a lecture and most are paying attention and taking notes. Attention is brought to Futaba and Karuko in the class, who are sitting next to each other. Futaba is paying attention and trying to learn from the class, but when she glances at Karuko, she sees her practicing different ways of writing her name, probably something along the lines of practicing her autograph. Again, it's just a quick little thing, but it does start to build upon the dynamic and conflict these 2 characters will have in episode 6. And lastly, during dancing practice, we see Claudine glaring at Maya, which Futaba once again takes notice of. After all this, Mihiru walks away from school alone, and we see that Hikari has tied Karen up and is locking her in a shed that looks like it's used to store props and costumes. But don't worry, she won't let Karen starve. She leaves her with a banana muffin. Juna and Nana have some good bonding, and we see Futaba interrupt Claudine in the middle of practicing dancing alone. At the same time as this, Mihiru walks in on Karuko washing up, and Karuko tells Mihiru to join her as she is bored since Futaba left her. In a really fun scene, Futaba and Claudine have a conversation while dancing where Claudine reflects on herself and her loss to Maya in a previous review. Meanwhile, Karuko bonds with Mihiru over them both being abandoned by their friends, while also still making sure to tease Mihiru over her affection for Karen. After the dancing between the 2 of them, Futaba confides in Claudine about her relationship with Karuko, and how for the first time in her life, She feels like she can rise above being a side character or a secondary role and become the top star herself. And you can't have a top star without Revue battles, which is why the notification signaling the next day of Revue auditions starts to chime. Karen manages to escape the storage shed, and Hikari desperately runs after Karen in an effort to stop her from participating in the auditions, but to no avail. Meanwhile, Maya reflects on what Claudine said to her during the last performance of Starlight. "I'm not losing." And with all this, the Revue of Pride, featuring the song Pride and Arrogance, or Hokuri to Oguri, begins. Karen undergoes her usual transformation sequence and does her self-introduction, before being just slightly upstaged by Maya. While at the same time, Hikari tries to break into the underground theater with a crowbar. The way the subtle but intense instrumentals accompany all this leading up to a chandelier being lowered down with red flames to which Karen starts singing is so cool. It's a great setup for a Revue audition, quite unlike the two Karen has participated in before this one. The following Revue is probably one of the coolest moments in Revue Starlight for me, and it also serves as a very important moment for Karen's character. The Revue begins with Karen and Maya on equal footing, both singing slowly, until the instrumentals pick up and they start fighting each other with their swords. During this time, Karen is the only one singing until she cuts down the chandelier whose flames turn from a fiery red to a cool blue. Starting the Revue off like this is a great way to show Karen's attitude towards this audition and the confidence she has in her ability to win, which will make what follows that much more impactful. After the chandelier falls, the instrumentals slow down once more as Maya confronts Karen as to why she's participating in this Revue, to which Karen responds with her wish to become a star together with Hikari. As this is happening, Hikari is seemingly making her way to the underground theater as she managed to break in, and Maya begins reciting lines from Starlight while we are shown that another Revue is going on between Futaba and Claudine. When Maya asks Karen what exactly she has sacrificed, the backdrop of the stage transforms into something more befitting of the top star of the Revues. Maya standing at the top of a large stone staircase with Karen looking up at her as she begins beautifully singing does a great job of representing the gap in talent, skill, and power between Karen and Maya which we are about to witness. Blue flames similar to that of the fallen chandelier from earlier briefly erupt from behind Maya, before turning back into the fiery red that they started as. All of this, the changing of the stage, the positioning of Maya and Karen, and the flames reverting back to how they were, this is all to show that this is not a Revue in which both Karen and Maya have equal power over the stage. This is Maya's domain that she has control and say over. As the instrumentals pick up once more and Maya continues singing, Karen begins to run towards the top where Maya stands as Hikari desperately makes her way to the underground theater. What follows is just a complete decimation of Karen. Remember how I said that height is a huge visual and thematic element to this series? Even as Maya descends down partially to fight Karen, even as she moves the platforms of the ground of the stage around her, no matter what Maya is doing or where she is on the stage, she will always be at a greater height than Karen, because she is the top star currently, and the gap in skill and talent between her and Karen is understandably great. Karen desperately fights against Maya, constantly trying to work her way up to Maya's height and position only to be brought back down either by Maya or the shifting stage itself. And the camera work during this Revue is immaculate. Thanks to the great use of high and low angles, we can see just how huge the difference in height and power between Karen and Maya is. Through low angles in Karen's perspective, we see just how high up Maya is on the stage of the Revue. And through high angles through Maya's perspective, we see just how crushingly close to the bottom Karen is and the almost overwhelming gap between the two of them. And when the Revue is not indulging in these angles showing the power levels of these characters, if you will, the camera movement is just amazingly smooth and dynamic, fully bringing this desperate and frantic fight on Karen's half to life, as well as the scale of this Revue stage which Maya controls. Par all that with the usual amazing animation that is to be expected with these Revue auditions and the great sound design, and you have one of the most exciting and heart-pounding moments in this series. The Revue, or one-sided decimation of Karen as I call it, continues. We see brief glimpses of the other stage girls in their stage girl outfits in the battle between Claudine and Futaba. Hikari opens the door to the underground theater only to find herself outside of Saisho, And as the review reaches its end with Maya proclaiming that, even alone, she is a star, we see, for the first time, Karen lose. Real quickly, I just want to point out how dope the guitar instrumentals that starts playing once Maya is done singing around the 5-minute mark of the review are. What an exciting and memorable way to begin closing out this epic song and review. Please just do yourself a favor and listen to this song and really all the other Revue Starlight songs if you haven't already. You don't want to deprive yourself of these amazing instrumentals and Maho Tomita's fantastic singing as Maya in this song, do you? But anyways, back to the episode. The review ends with Maya taking her position 0 stance and closing things out with, "This is Tendo Maya." This review is not only a captivating spectacle that is exciting to watch, but it is so important to Revue Starlight's story and Karen's character specifically. Up until this point, we've known and been told that Maya is the top star, the one every character strives to reach up to and surpass. But besides seeing her practicing and training in Saisho, we never really got to see the full extent of her talent and skill, which served as great build-up for this moment where we see how and why she's earned the position of top star, through her masterful manipulation of the review stage and her complete and total defeat of Karen, our main character who we've seen do nothing but succeed up to this point in the reviews. In this moment, everything we've heard about her is proven true, through this elegant and almost terrifying display of power and dominance. So I'm glad they built up the mystery of her status and talent up to this point. It made seeing her full capabilities that much more impactful and exciting to watch, even if it meant watching one of my favorite characters just get wrecked. That's the second reason this review is important, for what it means to Karen. Up until this point, we've seen Karen succeed in the 2 reviews she participated in before this episode. We saw throughout episode 2 that she still has a ways to go, however, since she is only just now starting to take honing her theatrical skills seriously after being reminded of her promise with Hikari at the end of episode 1. Despite this, she still managed to defeat Juna again at the end of episode 2 in the Review of Desire. I believe this is because she was in a better emotional and psychological headspace than Juna, who up until said review was pushing herself too far and coping with an unhealthy fear of failure. However, I understand if some people think that Juna still should have won in the Review of Desire because she had been practicing and taking her theatrical pursuits seriously for a longer time than Karen had up until that point. I personally disagree because of the reason I just said, but I do understand that take. And I could see how having Karen, the main character, win against someone who had been training and practicing for longer than her at the end of episode 2 give off the impression that Karen has main character power, meaning that she'll win and succeed in all these reviews even if it doesn't make sense, even if the opponents have greater skills or power than her, just because she's the main character. But as I've said before, this anime about emotional theater girls with a talking giraffe in it contains a very realistic story, and this review lets viewers know that Karen doesn't have plot armor, and she's not going to automatically win or succeed in every aspect of this story. She's only just started to really try her best in her theatrical pursuits again. And now she's going up against the Tendo Maya, the top star. Not only does this review tell viewers that Karen's not getting any special treatment as the main character, it lets us finally see the full scope of Maya's talent and skill when it comes to theater and the reviews, which in turn shows just how far Karen has to go in the story. This is the top star. This is the goal everyone wants to reach. And if Karen wants a shot at achieving her dreams of becoming a star with Hikari, she's going to have to reach Maya's level. I was extremely glad when I watched this episode for the first time. Don't get me wrong, I was sad Karen lost because I love her character so much, but a victory against her first time going up against Maya in this review would not have felt earned or appropriate in any way. Her victory against Juna in the Review of Passion and the Review of Desire in episodes 1 and 2 felt earned for how they impacted her and Juna as characters, but this defeat was necessary, not just to show viewers that she isn't gonna win no matter what, but also to show her just how great the gap in talent and skill that she needs to overcome in these reviews is. After Karen's defeat, the episode ends with Maya proclaiming, "There is but one star that shines above all." And we see that Futaba lost in the review battle between her and Claudine. However, they smile at each other and Claudine reaches out her hand towards Futaba, who grabs a hold of it. I love this short little ending scene, as it shows that not all the girls in this show are completely broken by the top star system these reviews enforce. They're still friends who are all just passionate about what they do, which is theater, and the reviews don't have to be this merciless and cutthroat affair that it seems to be so often. I guess it's just a little comforting knowing that Karen isn't going to have to pep talk some sense into every single character in this show. Some of them are already finding their own ways to reinvent themselves, form new bonds, and shine beautifully as stage girls. After this, the ending song for the anime, Fly Me to the Star, plays. Every episode of Revue Starlight that features this song has a different rendition of it, The song staying the same, but the vocal is changing depending on the story of the episode and the character of importance. I like it when an anime does that. It's fun hearing all the different vocalist takes on the same song, and it keeps the ending sequence fresh and interesting. Not that I really get bored with regular ending sequences in other anime, but it keeps things more interesting, you know? The visuals also change depending on the character of focus for the ending of an episode, and this episode dedicates the ending to Hikari Kagura, which feels appropriate since there was a great focus on her extreme actions taken in this episode in order to stop Karen from participating in the Revues, which she's been trying to do since Karen first interrupted the Revue of Passion at the end of episode 1. I also really love the style of the artwork in the ending. It matches the slow and peaceful vibe of the Fly Me to the Stars instrumentals very well. The actual vocals of the song by Hikari, or rather Suzuku Memori, accompanying them beautifully. After the ending song, we're treated to a couple brief scenes. First, we see that Karen is now in last place on the Revue rankings board, and then we get a really sad scene between Karen and Hikari. Both of them are standing outside Seisho in the rain, and Karen is telling Hikari about how she lost to Maya in a shocked and confused state, completely overwhelmed by the skill and talent gap between the two of them during the Revue of Pride. It might seem like Karen is backtracking on her message or beliefs on failure she preached to Juna in episode 2, but I don't think that's the case. Karen Aijo, and this probably goes without saying, is human. She's not perfect, just like any of us, and I can't speak for any of you watching this video, but I for sure know that I don't always live up to the me I want to be. Sometimes it's hard to stick to your ideals and beliefs. So Karen still knows and believes that failure isn't an outright end, but it can still be disheartening when you lose. You can't control how you feel or how you process events in your life sometimes, and I think that's the case with Karen here. After winning 2 Revues, and probably feeling pretty confident in herself even if she knew she wasn't at Maya's level, she got completely decimated. Losing to someone when you're trying your absolute hardest can be hard to deal with on its own, but on top of that, she knows that in order to have any chance at becoming a star together with Hikari, she needs to be able to surpass that unstoppable force of raw talent and skill she was just overwhelmed by. So I think her shock and dismay is appropriate in this scene. The top star system created by the Revues is a cruel thing for people passionate about and in love with their craft like Karen. But Karen has nothing to worry about. She has her good friend Hikari to comfort her by interrupting her when she talks and slapping her. That's how my friends comfort me after all. We get this beautiful shot I love of the two of them standing in place. Their reflections in the water on the ground showing them in their stage girl outfits underneath Tokyo Tower, before the screen cuts to black and Hikari calls Karen an idiot. And thus ends episode 3 of the Revue Starlight anime, Top Star. A somber but fitting end to this episode. As always, thank you so much to everyone for watching this video. Please tell me down below in the comments what you thought of this video, and my analysis or interpretation of episode 3 of Revue Starlight. Is there anything I missed? Anything you agreed with? Anything I said that you agree with and want to expand upon? Or do you just want to pull a Hikari and slap me while calling me an idiot? I welcome it all. In all seriousness, as I've said before, there's a lot to discuss in Revue Starlight, and I'm sure I didn't catch everything, try as I might. So I would love to talk about this amazing series in the comments with everyone. And if you do want to see more videos from me, primarily being visual novel reviews and other anime-related content, please consider subscribing to my channel and checking out some of my other videos. Thanks as usual to Otaku Box for his great editing work on these videos. A link to his channel is in the description, and I highly recommend checking out some of his videos. Once again, thank you to everyone for watching, and until the next video, see you guys. Position 0. This is NoahNovels. That probably sounded really stupid. Oh well, guess me and Karen are both idiots then.